Hey y'all, I'm James Wright and welcome back to Wood by Wright. I did a video on my bench last week where I talked about things that I would change having this bench for an entire year. But I had a ton of questions about the tool wall behind me because it was about the same time I did a whole renovation of the tool wall. So that's about 2 years old now, and I want to go through some of the racks and talk through some of the things I might change in them or what I do like and don't like. So let's actually dive in to see about the tool wall in general. So first off, with this whole tool wall, I have to give a little bit of a philosophy here, why I don't have a tool chest or a tool cabinet hanging on the wall. And that is because this is very easy to access. I can stand here at the bench and within one step touch every single tool in my shop. And most of my most commonly used tools, I don't even have to move. I just turn around, I grab them, and I use them. They're far enough back that they're out of the way of general movement. I can have all the movement I want, but yet they're close enough that I can grab all my planes and all my saws without moving. It's just a simple rotation to put them away or pull them out. Also on top of that, I don't have much problem with moisture because I'm in an air-conditioned basement shop. So having them out like this isn't that much of an issue. If you have problems with people coming and going from your shop, you may want to be able to lock them up, or you may want to have a cabinet where you can close them up and contain the air inside of it. Those are reasons to have a tool cabinet or tool chest. But for me, I love the tool wall. It's quick, it's easy, it's simple, everything is there, and it looks really good. So let's start over here with my file and rasp storage. This works phenomenally because I can have all my files and rasps sitting in here. I can get access to them all. None of them are touching each other. None of them are bumping into each other. And it works really well. And I like being able to have this because I use a lot of different rasps and files quite regularly. And this makes them all very accessible. Things I would change in this. Number one, it's about 2 inches deep. And I wish I had bumped that out to about 3 inches. Not to lower the angle of all the files, but to give a greater amount in there. Because right now each file only has about 4 or 5 inches right at the bottom it's holding in place. And for some of these longer ones, I'd rather have like about 6 inches to hold them in place. And I might even make it two-tiered for the smaller files up at the top and bigger files down at the bottom to have more holding onto them. You can just see they have a tendency to kind of slide over to the side a little bit more because there isn't as much holding from tip to top. Here I keep my common spoke shaves, draw knives, cabinet scrapers, and card scrapers. I really like this system, and especially with having these racks movable, you can see how this one is actually splayed so that I can fit draw knives on the bottom and smaller handles up top. I'm really happy with how this came out. My only downside is that I don't have enough space. I've got about 3 times this many spoke shaves because I love spoke shaves, and I just don't have a way to put them all on the tool wall. The plain storage rack. This is kind of the heart of the whole shop right here. And I love this tool rack. Keeping it vertical makes them very easy. All the planes just unlock and come out, and then they go back in like that, and they're there. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to worry about it. They're all locked in place. They're all solid, and it works very well. It's a very good space-saving method because you see a lot of them where they're on an angle. That just wastes a lot of space. Even if you do have rack space behind it, it's not as functional a way to do it. So I am really, really happy with this. You may see that I have a missing slot here. That's because one of the toggles, this one here, I made it, and that one had a crack running all the way through, which I didn't notice when I was putting it together, and so it broke, and it's just one that I haven't replaced yet. I have a scrub plane that needs to go in here, but for now the scrub plane's living underneath my bench. So I guess the rule to learn from is make sure there's no crack in all of your toggles. But for the rest of them, they work really well, and I'm phenomenally happy with this. At this point, I should also say that I do have plans available for the storage racks, so if this is something you'd like to see, go to my website, woodbywright.com, and I'll try and leave a link to them down below. Here is the saw till, and this gets used constantly. Being able to put the saws in here and have all of my most common saws in one place, being able to put the Japanese saws as well as the back saws and the panel saws all in one place. I'm loving how it came out. Having this shelf down here, I think my only thing I wish is that the shelf would stick out about 2 inches farther, or to have multiple shelves, but then again, I just need more space because the shelf is a horizontal surface and that just gets cluttered and full of everything. I try to keep my saw sharpening items here and then the router plane over here, but other things have added to it, such as the corner chisels and circle gauges and things that I just don't know where to put it. I'm going to put it there. And so this is kind of a mess usually, and I'd like to work on that, but for right now, it works pretty well. Then there's the rack up top for all of my molding planes, the Stanley 45 and 55, the kerfing plane, the shoulder planes, and all of those other things that just don't fit anywhere else. This shelf works really well. My only downside is I wish I had one more shelf like this, You're gonna hear me say that a lot because my shop is only 10 foot wide and about 7 foot up to the beam here. So yeah, I don't have a whole lot of space in this wall. So here is my chisel rack, and these are the chisels that I use most commonly, smallest to largest, and I have several videos on making this chisel rack. It was originally designed to mount on the back side of my bench, which I'll try and leave a link to that as well. But putting it here at a slight angle just makes it very easy for all the chisels to come in and out. They all have a spot and they all work very well. I'm really happy with this. I like this even better than a magnet because they don't tip side to side. I was originally planning on just having a magnet strip to lock them onto, but this works really well. Then a little below that we have our mallet rack and our brace and all of our bits. And this rack actually turned out really well. Everything holds in here really nicely. This is originally kind of a design where I have this U-shape cut out every so often that all my mallets can fit into. One problem with that means that all of them are sticking out cross grain. So that makes them a little bit weak. You can see I'm missing 2 prongs over here where a file fell off and snapped them off. If I were to do it over again, I think I would actually just do it as a board with a whole bunch of dowels in it and have the handles slide in between the dowels. I think that would work a little bit better and be much stronger. But you live and learn, and I may be remaking this sometime in the future. As to the braces and bits, much the same. It fits fairly well, and I have all my bits in here. I have all my braces. Really easy to access, and I'm very happy with how these came out. Again, it's right here at the bench, so I can quickly turn around, grab them, and use them, and put them back when done. Now here I have a rack that sticks out from the wall. This is where I have all of my squares, my bevel gauges, my measuring and marking things are down in this bag. I really like how this came out because I just had this thin space, and with these sticking out, they don't stick out much farther than the saws or file handles, so nothing is here where I bump it or shake it. And then down at the bottom I have this little shelf that fills a small space here where I can slide all of my marking gauges down into a hole and have a spot for them all to fit. This has really worked out phenomenally and has been a great fit to the whole design. I really like how this came out. This is the one spot where I use a diagonal magnet here to hold them all in place, and they hold them very well so that they can come out like that and everything is in place quick and easy, and you see all the squares then fit. I really like this setup. I don't think of anything on this that I'd particularly change. Now over here I also have my frame saws, and one of these days I'd like to come up with a better method for that because they're all basically stacked on a peg, and so if I want the one at the back I have to pull off the other ones, but I haven't found a good way for that because they're so big they take up so much space, and I can't put them horizontally, otherwise they stick out too far into the shop, and it's just a little bit of a pain. And then I also have my clamps just hanging on the wall over there. They're literally sitting on the sill plate, so nothing is really holding them other than gravity. So every now and then I bump one and it falls off the rack. But for the most part, that works really well. And then of course you can see some of the clamps I just clamp to the joists up above, and it keeps them out of the way and out of camera shot most of the time. So there is my shop wall. As to organization in the shop itself, I think that I would keep it just about the way it is. The saws and planes are very quickly and easily accessed. They're right here in the middle. Then outside of that we have the bigger saws, and we have the rasps, file, and spoke shaves, things that aren't quite used as much. Then of course chisels are very easily accessible. Mallets are down a little bit lower, braces and bits are down a little bit lower. So the most commonly used things are right in the middle, and then farther out they get less and less common. So this has been really working really well for the last 2 years, and I'm really happy with it. Yeah, there's a few tweaks and things I'd like to change, but in the actual functionality of the space, there isn't that much. So I'm very pleased with it. If you would like to go back and see that, I do have an entire playlist where I go through building all of these different racks, as well as building the bench and rearranging the shop into the current situation. I really haven't come to that point where I'm like, maybe I should switch things around and put the bench over there and do this over there, because this is working really well, and I'm very happy with it. Having a space that I can work at the bench, and this is where I'm spending 90% of my time, is just right here at the corner of the bench, and then all the tools within reach. Functionally wise, I'm only using a space in the shop that's like 8 foot by about 6 foot, and everything is done in that small area, and it works really well. I'm very happy with it. So this has been a little bit different video. I wasn't actually planning on doing this, but a lot of people were asking about it, so I hope you like that. If you did, please let me know down in the comments. Let me know if you have any suggestions or ideas or anything particular you'd like to see. I'd love to hear that, and who knows, maybe I'll put a video out because of that. Also, if you did like the video, please like, comment, share, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. I really can't say enough about that. Thank you. So I think that's about it for now, and until next time, have a wonderful day. Okay, dad joke book time. Let's see what we got here. Knock, knock. Who's there? Highway cop. Highway cop who? I wake up in the morning and then I have a cup of coffee.